Hello and welcome to this video on moss in bonsai. You have no doubt seen some amazing bonsai specimens that are well trained, potted, and look like they are ancient. They are likely to be twisted, gnarled, and perfectly manicured. The final touch is the use of either gravel or in many cases moss. As with so many other elements of bonsai, this moss is not natural. It is an artificially created element that perfectly complements so many trees. What follows will show you just how to make your own moss, how to use it, and some cautions you must take. The first thing is collecting moss. You want the right kind, and given how you will use it, you want to be fussy. Try to find several kinds in varying shades of green. Further, you do not want an overly aggressive species that grows over and covers everything. The first place to look is trees that already have moss. You can take a little from here and use it. Another option is your garden. Look around trees, bricks, and concrete. The final place to look is around waterways and pipes. These areas have a lot of ambient moisture, which is ideal for growing moss. Now that you have your moss, there are two options. Either transplant it and hope it grows over a wider area given enough time. This is a good option if you need to fill a gap in your existing trees. In more realistic scenarios, you will probably need to grow your moss. This is a sort of propagation. To do so, you need only to take a few small and very simple steps. First, put your moss in a plastic bag that is slightly open. Put this in a sunny, dry place and let the moss dry out. Eventually, this dry moss wad will crumble in the bag when squished. Crush it until you get a fine powder. This will be your seeding mixture. Now get a tray of some sort. Seedling trays from a nursery work very well for this. Place a layer of newspaper over it. Saturate this newspaper or similar material with water. This is now your moss raising bed. Cut a corner off from your plastic bag and sprinkle the moss seed mixture over the damp newspaper. A good suggestion for keeping this moss wet is to place it on a shelf below your bonsai or other plants. The water seeping through and around your pots will dampen the moss and keep it that way. Occasionally you will need to focus on wetting it directly, but this is a convenient way to reduce your workload. Over the next few weeks, the moss will start to grow. Moss has several advantages over other surface material in bonsai. The first and most obvious is its visual appeal. Moss just looks right with trees that are meant to appear old. It magnifies the illusion of age. It also helps to keep the tree damp. A full covering of moss will keep the moisture in your potting mix. It also insulates your tree. Less heat in summer as water vaporizes, and less cold in winter. Unfortunately, an entirely moss-covered planting has definite drawbacks. Some species are somewhat hydrophobic. They will prevent water from penetrating the potting mix properly. This can be solved by adding a little bit of gravel to your planting. These gravelled areas allow water to soak through your potting mix and still have moss on the surface. Your moss-covered bonsai will need more light and water than other bonsai will. These are both needed to keep the moss colourful and alive. To use your moss, take sections and place them on the tree. Depending on your pot and style, you may need to leave a space between the top of your pot and potting mix. In most cases, you can get away with simply lifting a section, transplanting it onto your soil and pressing it in. Spray liberally with water to set it, and water regularly to be finished. Moss is surprisingly easy to propagate, and having a supply on hand is useful. It is a significant improvement over bare soil or gravel, but does not suit all styles or species. Thank you for watching this video. If you have found it useful or interesting, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Please post any comments, questions, or suggestions below.